Hey YouTube, how's it going tonight? I'm doing another video today, and we're gonna be moving away from pocket knives. You didn't see this one in the last video, my Benchmade Mini Grip Tyrian. In the last video we were kind of discussing pocket knives and what I feel is my ideal everyday carry and practical for my lifestyle, and what I feel a practical knife is. And we learned that it was around a 3-ish inch blade, nice neutral handle, nice slicey blade type, kind of like that hollow grind, like thumb studs or thumb holes. So we also kind of learned what I don't like and stuff like that. But if you want to watch that video, it's there. I know 10 people watched it, so if you're one of those 10 people that are tuning into this video, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're finding something of value here, finding something at least entertaining, or at least laughing, hey, check this guy out. What a nerd. So anyway, today we're going to be looking at some more knives, but we're going to kind of leave pocket knives behind for a minute. And I got a few more knives in my collection. I don't have a huge collection of kitchen knives, but I do have the essentials, and we're going to kind of talk today about essential kitchen knives. And if you're a aspiring chef or even a home chef, these are all knives that you should have in your kitchen if you don't already. So we'll go ahead and pull these out and start looking at them one by one. I don't have anything that's really very high value here, except for maybe one of these knives, and that's even debatable. I'm not probably not over $100 knife as it sits anyway. So, and that's this one right here that's giving me all the problems coming out. So let's go ahead and get started and look at these, kind of see what kind of knives you'd have in your kit. These first two knives, I actually used to have the 8-inch chef knife by that too, but that has been unfortunately lost in a divorce. So but that's alright, we got something to replace it with. But anyway, these first two knives are Update knives. And the reason I have these knives, the Update is, I guess, big in the restaurant industry games, but these knives here come from my local restaurant supply stores, and I can get these knives quite readily, quite regularly, and they're less than $20. I don't remember exactly what I paid for them, but it wasn't more than $20. And they're just great knives, marked NSF, which is not sufficient funds. It's actually the National Sanitation Foundation, and it's an agency that oversees the development of kitchen equipment and has resources regarding food safety. So that's what NSF stands for, not non-sufficient funds. And you'll find that marked on a lot of kitchen equipment that's made for kitchen equipment, and it just means that this equipment's food safe. So a little bit more about these Update knives. I think the handles, they are FRN, which is fiberglass reinforced nylon. You'll also find fiberglass FRN in a lot of tools nowadays. A lot of your saw casing, the outer part of your saws, drills, drivers, stuff like that. A lot of tools that, you know, carpenters and contractors are going to work with and using every day are made out of this FRN stuff. So it's pretty durable. It's a good sturdy component, and it feels really actually not too bad in the hand. The ergonomics of these Update knives are absolutely incredible. I love the way they feel in the hand. They rival the Victorinox over here for their comfort and their ergonomics. So anyway, let's talk about this style of knife. This is one of the first knives that probably shouldn't, not the first knife, but we can talk about anyway. This is just the first knife that we're going to look at. And this is a bread knife, a serrated bread knife, and this has got an offset handle. The reason I have the offset handle is so when I'm chopping on the chopping board, my knuckles aren't, or when I'm, you know, getting down to the bottom of the chopping board there, my knuckles aren't dragging across and hitting and everything. My knuckles are way up in the air and aren't hitting anything. So that's why I go with the offset. You can get it, you know, just in a regular blade that comes out straight like there too. I just prefer the offset. It just depends on what you like. So, but another, aside from cutting pastries and breads and delicate stuff like that, it's also good for tearing apart citrus. It'll wedge up a lemon or a lime or an orange or whatever you have, whatever kind of citrus you might have, pretty quickly and pretty nicely. If you didn't know that, and the serrated bread knives work great for that. This next one, another update, it's going to be a 6-inch boning knife, stiff. And I use this for taking apart chicken mostly, cutting up chicken wings, taking down chicken, stuff like that. My brother does hunt sometimes, so he'll come back with rabbits and squirrels and stuff like that, and it'll be used for taking apart those. Definitely another essential if you're going to have any kind of meats in the kitchen that you need to cut up. A nice little boning knife is going to be a good knife to have in the kit. Probably one of your least used knives in your kit, but still when you need it, it's good to have it. Another one, this isn't really essential unless you're a fisherman, like I am. That's a fillet knife. It's an 8-inch fillet knife. Got a nice flexible tip on there. Now, this was given to me by my sister, and it was given to her by Select Energy Services. She works in the oil field, and they came in one day and gave out a bunch of knives and everything. I guess it's not a bad knife, but alright. It's stamped Team Realtree right here. It says, this is my biggest problem with this knife right here. It says, if we can get it to focus there real quick, Utica Cutlery Company, USA. And then if I flip around to the back side, marked on the thing right there, right before the plunge line, says stainless China. China. What is happening here? I don't mind stuff made in China. Junk is junk, no matter where it's produced. If it's made in the USA and it's junk, it's still junk. You know, USA makes some good stuff, USA makes some junk too. I'm not going to penalize you on the country of origin. However, I'm going to penalize you for trying to pull one over on me, which you're not doing a very good job because you're just marking the other side there. But I mean, what's really going on here, you know? So I don't like that, but whatever. It's a decent skinny knife, fillet knife though. It'll take apart some brim and some trout and some bass with no problem at all. It's going to get an upgrade in my collection though one day. So, moving on down, it's going to be probably the most expensive knife. I'm not 100% sure how much this knife costs because it was given to me as a gift and I never really looked it up. This is a Hammerstall cutlery knife. By the way, this is going to be made out of all these blades except for this one right here that says stainless on it. These two and this one right here are all going to be X50CR MOV15, and this one here is a high carbon German stainless steel. The Victorinox is going to be a Swiss made steel. I'm not 100%, it might be the same, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, this Hammerstall here is another essential I find, and it kind of comes down to, I don't have a paring knife in my kit because I carry a 5-inch prep knife. And usually the prep knife I have, which I lost my other update 5-inch prep knife in the divorce, is similar to a chef style, like I'm going to show you here in a minute with the Victorinox. But this one here, I'm not too big on the, I mean, it's alright. I guess it has its place. Some chefs swear by them. I've used them. I'm not too big on this blade style. This is the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, the Santuca blade style, but it's just not, I don't know, I'm not big on this blade style. I like to have more of a point here, especially when it's coming down to, I'll probably be alright with it if it was a big 8-inch chef's knife. When it comes down to my little 5-inch chef knife, see, and I don't carry a paring knife because I don't have a huge need for one, and if I'm going to haul strawberries and stuff like that, usually my little 5.5-inch prep knife will do that for me just fine. But it's also big enough, like if I have to take down an onion or a pepper or something like that, I can still do that with this knife, which is why I like to carry a 5-inch prep knife. I don't like this particular one though, even though it's probably one of my higher end, because of the handle. It's just too small. There's not very good ergonomics. If we look here, when the knife is resting on the cutting board, my knuckles are definitely hitting the cutting board, which I don't like at all. I like this to be a little bit more pronounced. It could be just a 1/4 of an inch bigger and probably be a little bit better, but it's just not the most ergonomic. The handle is so small, and it's just, for cutting all day, it's just not a good tool. But it is in my kit right now. I do use it from time to time. but I do plan on, I'll probably keep it because it was a wedding present, but it will most likely find its way into the not used part of my collection and start my knife collecting collection, and this will be replaced by either an update or maybe even the Victorinox 5.5 inch prep knife, so if I can find one. So the last one is going to be our Victorinox, and this is the Fibrox. I'm not 100% sure how you say that, but this is the Fibrox Pro. This is an 8-inch chef knife, and this is my workhorse. The ergonomics has got a FRN handle again, but the ergonomics of this thing are just phenomenal. I like the way it's kind of done out there. It's got a little room, but it sinks down, so it's easy to do my pinch grip and just get in there, and I can just all day long. I'm bumping my tripod, sorry about that, and get you spun back around there. So, but yeah, this is just, I mean, for cutting up vegetables and stuff like that, I mean, just all day long, this feels so good in my hand. It's got a good, decent steel on it, Swiss made, and I mean, yeah, it's definitely the way to go. Definitely an essential. This is the first knife you should absolutely buy. Is an 8-inch chef's knife. You don't want to get anything smaller than this. Don't go get your prep knife first. Get your 8-inch chef knife. It's the most versatile. This will do almost everything in the kitchen, and it can even do stuff that my boning knife to do. I can still take apart chicken if I need to with my chef knife. It's just a little easier to do with my boning knife. So, but these four right here, I definitely would say, are going to be essential in the kitchen. These are the four that you're going to want to buy. If you find yourself in a kitchen where you're taking and hauling a lot of fruit and strawberries and stuff like that, you might want to invest in the paring knife instead of the 5-inch prep knife. Or you might want to invest in both of them. I don't know. I don't know what your job entails. My job, this knife here is more useful than a paring knife. And this knife right here, I use more than a paring knife. So I just don't find myself pulling out a paring knife in the kitchen all that often. So I don't carry one. I just don't carry one in my kit. I don't have one in my kit. So, but anyway, essential knives. You start off with these 4 knives. If you're a fisherman, that 5th one in there. You can add a paring knife in there. Another essential knife that you might want to add in there is a cleaver. Better for taking down big hunks and sides of beef and stuff like that, if that's what your kitchen's going to be doing all day long. I don't know. You know, I don't have any use for a cleaver, so you're not going to find it in my kit. It just depends on where you're going to go to work at. For most kitchens, though, these 4 right here are going to be, you know, great. Unless you're going to work in a butcher shop, then you might want to think about, you know, cleaver and boning knife are probably going to be more essential to you than anything else. So, I got a couple more knives to show you. I do carry a Old Hickory butcher style knife with me, or chef style knife with me. This is just an Old Hickory I picked up a while back, and this is just my camping chef's knife. I take this with me just because, well, it's, you know, decently made. I'm not too afraid to lose it. It keeps a nice sharp edge for a while. It's got a nice sharp 90-degree spine back here. So, I mean, heck, if all things go wrong out there when I'm out there camping, and, you know, I find myself stuck without supplies for a while, I can use this to process firewood too if I need to. So it's just a good all-around knife to have. So I always take this one camping with me, and it doesn't live in my normal sheath up here. I do have this cheap little sheath, leather sheath I picked up on Amazon for it as well. Excuse me, that I picked up for it on Amazon as well. And then I got one more knife I'm going to show you that's in my collection, and that is, I used to work at this restaurant, and underneath the oven I found this huge massive knife that was just full of rust, full of corrosion, and it's not that much cleaner than what I found. This is a 15.5-inch chef's knife, and it is absolutely huge. There's no way this is going to fit into the whole screen. There's just no way. So, but let's take a little bit of a look at it in chunks, if you will. The blade right here. So what I want to do, though, is kind of look at the spine of this knife, because this is being made with a ridiculously huge and thick, I mean, if I can just, for comparison's sake, this is the handle of that hammer mill. And the stock before the plunge line is even thicker than this hammer mill handle. I measured it earlier, and here after the plunge line is almost a half an inch thick. It is a ridiculously thick blade stock. But it comes down, as we move down the blade, it just tapers down and tapers down and tapers down until we're left with a 1/16 of an inch at the tip of this knife. It gets ridiculously small. It's so neat how it was made. So neat how it was made. And then if I turn around and we look right here, after the plunge line, you see how the kind of bolsters wrap up around there, and then they cut out this part of steel, and then they actually tapered the tang of this knife as well, which it is a full tang knife. So just a neat little knife. I thought I'd show you that real quick. It's going to be a project knife one day. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. I've got so many other projects going on. It's probably just going to sit in the closet for a while. But I figured I'd show you that. I thought it was a neat little knife. One day I'd like to, get all the rest of the goo and the gunk and gross stuff off of it, and, get this handle taken off and maybe repaired. I think it's got this part sticking up right here. I'd like to grind that down and just kind of give it a nice new handle and finish. Replace these brass pins. So maybe we'll just leave that handle on there. It's actually still a pretty good, decent handle. Maybe we'll just sand it down and give it some oil and get these brass pins flushing in with it. Maybe it'll be still a serviceable, usable handle. It doesn't have any cracks or anything in it. Maybe it just needs a little bit of mineral oil and a little bit of sand, and it'll be good to go. So, but anyway, one day I want to clean it up, put an edge on it. So, alright, well, I guess that's going to be it for this video. I'll do a quick recap for you real quick. Again, I know I don't have anything expensive in here. It comes down to Uncle Shabazz, another famous YouTuber, came out with this video a while back about cost, comfort, carry. And the reason the knives in here, in this kit, are in here, and the reason I purchased the knives that are in here, is because these are knives that I use on a daily basis, whether they're in my home kitchen or I have to take them out of my kitchen. And for me, I'm looking for something comfortable, relatively inexpensive, not cheap, inexpensive. It's going to get the job done. It's going to be comfortable, and if I break it or I lose it or something happens to it, I'm not going to be that worried about it. And for me, this is my price range right here, folks, and this is why these are in my collection. I don't have $100 chef knife, although I'm not gonna lie, I would like one, and maybe one day one will be in my collection. Maybe one day soon. I got my eye on a couple of Victorinoxes, but for now, I don't need them in my collection. And as a matter of fact, if I would get a $100 Victorinox, I would probably most likely still keep this one in my keep this one as well, and this would still be my user, and the other one would just go on display somewhere or be put away in storage somewhere and wouldn't be used at all. And that's because this knife right here is just what I'm looking for. I'm not worried about it. I can easily replace it, and it's comfortable and ergonomic in my hand and does what I need it to do. So that's why I spent the money on what I spent right here in front of y'all, and that's why the knives I have are here. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and end this 20-minute video on these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 knives that I did right here. And then we just kind of took a little brief glance on it and had a kind of brief discussion on practical kitchen knives and knives everybody should have in their kitchen. And that's about it, folks. So I guess I'm going to leave you with a little bit of safety advice from my Uncle Bumble Fork. And if anybody knows him, please chime in below on what his channel is. That would be awesome. I know exactly who he is, but I kind of want to see if y'all do. Anyway, his little bit of safety advice is, always remember, folks, cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Y'all have an absolutely great night, and I'll see y'all on the next video.